Hello, friends and neighbors and friends of the Green Room. That's right, this is the Palace of Green Room on air here in the studios of North Beach, California, where you can see which side? Oh, this side, the beautiful Transamerica building. Yes, indeed, I am a lucky fella. Today we have a special guest. His name is Jack Kohler, and he is an American, a Native American, and he has written a film that has won over 20 awards at various film festivals, over 30 film festivals in the United States, and it's called The Gift of Fear. And it focuses on trafficking, human trafficking of female Native Americans. It's a big problem. It's something that most of us don't even know goes on, or we don't think about it, and it's very important, and I want to get this out there. Also, a play with a similar theme called The Absence by my good friend Neva Hutchinson. He is directing that play on Monday, September 11th, this coming Monday, at the Raven Theater in Healdsburg, California at 7 p.m., both at 7 p.m., both at the Raven Theater in Healdsburg, California. Be there or be square. Tell them I sent you. I'll be there. If you see me, say howdy doody, and we'll have a great time. Okay, without any further ado, my friends, neighbors, I bring you Mr. Jack Kohler.
Tribal nonprofit organization.
Mm-hmm.
It's my tribe. Yeah.
Great. And your latest film is that Gift of Fear?
Yes.
I watched the trailer. That was quite exciting. I want to see the movie.
Yeah, you can see it this Sunday.
This Sunday at the 10th, right? 7:00.
Yes, at the Raven Theater
in Healdsburg.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Healdsburg, California.
Yeah, it's also a screening in two different film festivals this weekend. Also, one in New Mexico.
Oh.
And one in Merced.
Oh, Merced, California. Great. So the Merced Film Festival?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they had one. Neat. How many film festivals have you been to with this?
Let's see. I've been to 5 film festivals with this film, but it's screened at, so far, after this weekend, it'll be screened at 30 film festivals around the world.
Wow, that's great.
To date, we have 20 awards.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
30 film festivals, 20 awards. Well, congratulations. What is the film about? Gift of Fear.
So the film deals with the missing and murdered Indigenous women's issue in America. We started out making documentaries about this issue. And we realized if we made a documentary, it would be probably seen by a lot of Native Americans, but it wouldn't necessarily be seen by a lot of non-natives who really need to understand this situation and get it and become aware of what's happening, because it's not just a native problem. It happens a lot to natives because we don't fall under a clear jurisdiction of the law enforcement in any state. So like city cops aren't looking for our missing women. The sheriff's department isn't looking for our missing women unless we ask them to actively help. The only people that will come onto a reservation and who have access usually is the FBI, but the FBI won't do anything unless there's been a crime committed, and a missing person is not necessarily a crime committed. So the human traffickers, they target Native American women and men too, because they know not a lot of people are going to go looking for them, or people that have a lot of resources. And that became apparent when, in 2021, when Gabby Petito went missing, and there was a 100-person manhunt looking for her and looking for her killer. While at the same time, while that was happening, there was still 9,000 missing Native American women in the United States. And not a lot of people were looking for them in the law enforcement sector. So that's why we had to make a film. We made a feature narrative. So it's entertaining, but it's gripping, and it tells the story to some extent of these women that are being kidnapped and are missing and being human trafficked. So that's pretty much what our story is about.
So basically, they're just saying, we're not going to help you because you have your own resources. So good
Well,
luck.
it's a lot deeper than that, but it's because we don't have enough resources.
Uh,
Um, and, there's only so much that we can get support from the federal government, which actually is why Deb Haaland, who's now the Secretary of the Interior, she created the Missing and Murdered Unit. And their job is to start locating these women or creating some closure as to where what happened to these women and men that are missing from certain reservations. So hopefully, that'll help to some aspect.
what is her name?
Yeah.
What was her name? The woman?
So Deb Haaland, who's our Secretary of the Interior.
Oh, right. Okay. I didn't know who it was.
She's the first. So yeah, she's the first Native American to be Secretary of the Interior.
Oh, great.
And she's already created quite a few departments to help with these issues and with abuse of women, especially Native women.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's in our favor, having her on there.
So how do these traffickers work? How do they get people? Do they lure them in, trick them, and capture them? Or
I mean, there's a variety of ways they do it. I mean, there's a high poverty rate on a lot of different reservations across the United States. There's not a lot of job opportunities for people. Sometimes they get tricked into working for people that misuse them and get lured into, the sex trafficking industry, and they just, they disappear. And a lot of times they get taken off country or moved around where they can't get back to their people, or there's a lot of different scenarios. But human trafficking is a $1 billion business across the world. And a lot of indigenous people in different countries get abducted because they're easier targets than other ethnicities.
Right. Yeah. I guess when people are at some sort of disadvantage, it's a lot easier to take advantage of them, trick them, lure them, get them to do things they really don't want to do. So that's what the movie focuses on. And you made a feature film instead of a documentary in order to get to a wider audience,
to bring awareness to this situation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I didn't realize until a couple of years ago how big a human trafficking issue is in the United States. I had no idea. I find it like the epitome of evil. How doing that to other human beings is just beyond anything I couldn't fathom,
And our state capital has a huge rate in statistic wise across the nation. I mean, we're one of the highest human trafficking centers in the nation.
California?
Sacramento, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I tried to find the more recent stats. I started doing research on this about 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, we had the fifth highest statistic for human trafficking in the nation. I don't know what it is now.
But we're up there near the top. Wow. And it's so hard to find these people, I guess. I'm sure that these traffickers are experts at hiding things and hiding people and preventing authorities from finding them.
Yeah.
It looks like there was some violence there in the movie. Does that actually happen? Saw a lot of shootouts and.
Well, actually, the shootouts don't always happen. There have been in more recent, recently there's been a few more aggressive moves by the law enforcement to actually go in and rescue some of these women and men that have been kidnapped, which is happened more recently. And our film is based on 4 to 5 different true incidents, and we just sort of combined it into one film. But everything that happened in the film or that you see on screen has happened to some capacity to either the women or to the law enforcement in these situations. So we based it all on true incidents. A lot of these incidents happened in Northern California. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really heavily into creating these pieces. This is my fifth film regarding human trafficking and the missing and murdered Indigenous women's crisis, because where my tribe is located right now, there's approximately 200 missing women in Northern California from reservations along the Trinity and Klamath rivers.
I see. Wow. And that's your tribe. What is the name of your tribe again?
So I'm a member of the Hupa tribe,
Okay.
but I'm also a part Yurok and Karuk.
Okay. And can you give us an example of like the story of one of these women that the movie is based on?
The story follows actually a Native American foster youth who's in the foster youth system, and she gets lured into joining this gang, and her social worker tries to get her away from the gang, so she removes her from the foster home and puts her in a group home on the other side of the town, trying to get her away from this gang.
Okay.
And then she introduces her to an MMA teacher and a dojo. So she sort of this foster youth, Millie, she finds a new family, and she really gets into the jiu-jitsu and the martial arts. But then the gang finds out where she is located, and they come to try to kidnap her. And her martial arts family basically protects her from these gang members. So in retaliation, the gang members kidnap Millie's girlfriend.
Okay.
And so at the end of the movie, Millie goes looking for them, or towards the end of the movie, and the missing and murdered unit is involved in the film. So we actually have an agent from the missing and murdered unit who's looking for some of these women that are missing from Millie's reservation. He gets involved and gets the FBI involved, and they come out. And so at the end of the film, there's actually a rescue made by Millie, who knows where they're hiding the women, and the FBI and the missing and murdered unit. So that's where the shootout takes place.
I looked at your website for your company there and watched parts of some of the films, and that I was really impressed with the production value and the level of the acting, and they look like movies that are multi-million-dollar. Like, how do you do this? I know you can't have tons of money, right?
Oh, no, we've always been on a shoestring budget.
And how do you make it look so professional? And where do you find all these great actors?
Well, so we had about 10 SAG-AFTRA actors on set.
Okay. So you had some experienced actors for this movie.
Yeah, we had, in all total, we had 87 actors in the film.
Okay.
A lot of them had screen experience. They knew what the issue was, and most of them worked for half their rate of what they usually go for.
Yeah.
Our lead male in the film is Justin Johnson Cortez.
Yeah, he's movie star looking material.
Yeah, so he's in the Warner Brothers series Walker Independence.
Oh, right. I have heard of that, but I've never seen it.
And then we also had Michael Horse, who's been in Twin Peaks and Godless and a whole bunch of other.
Okay. So you got some good talent there.
And then we had Laura Vallejo, who's in Humor Me.
Yeah.
And she's been in a bunch of different films.
Yeah.
And then, but our star of the film is a new person. She's actually a sophomore at Carnegie Mellon back east, and this was her first film. So she's only done stage before this. She's only done stage productions, a lot of musicals.
Yeah.
But she was the perfect Millie for our cast.
Where's she from originally?
She's from upstate New York.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering if she was from around here.
Yeah. So we flew her out, and she was the very last person that we cast. It was very hard to find the lead female who had to play a 17-year-old on screen. So we needed someone who was older than 18, but looked younger than 18.
Yeah, and you could act younger, right?
Yeah.
I imagine that's
Uh,
always difficult in casting a film. Yeah. Because if you get an actual child, then you're running into all these other issues that you have to deal with, which
right. And then
you
you
don't
have
want
to
to.
have certain people on the set to
Teachers, and they have to
handlers and
handlers.
teachers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's also, there's certain things that they can't say on screen, or you have to get waivers for them to, and there's a lot of swearing in this movie.
Hmm. Oh, right. Oh, then you have to be careful with that
And
too.
then there's the mature content, of them being kidnapped by human traffickers. And
Oh, right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. If you use an actual child, then you have to shoot it in very specific ways where it looks like they're in there during the bad parts and they're not really on the set and all that kind of stuff.
right.
I often see that in movies, like when they don't get it right and there's a kid and all, they're doing these great like two shots or and all of a sudden it switches to like a one shot that you can tell is a little bit off color because the color is not balanced right because they did it 3 days later when the kid wasn't there or whatever. I always tell my wife, she goes, "Be quiet, you're spoiling it for me."
Exactly.
Yeah, some of the other films there too on the website, I looked and there you didn't have any. It looked like there weren't any like known actors or say actors in there, and it's really good stuff.
Oh, thanks.
Well, I mean, but I was very impressed. Wow,
Oh,
I love
thank
it.
you.
Find something like that, it just blows my mind. Yeah, it's wonderful.
So,
Let's talk about the play that you're directing. You're directing Neva's new play, right?
so it's just a
Yep.
staged reading. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's not a full blown out stage production, but this is the first time we're testing it out on stage, and we have about 9 actors.
Okay.
Going to read all the different parts on stage. There'll be a little bit of movement, and it's going to be at the Raven Theater on Monday night at 7 p.m.
Okay.
the September 11th. And I was introduced to Neva from a friend of mine, and another native person, Clint McKay.
Mm-hmm.
And normally I don't direct a lot of stage productions. In fact, the last stage production I did was in 2016, and it was my own production. It's called Something Inside Is Broken, which actually is going to start airing on PBS in November. But that was the last thing I've actually really directed on stage. But because her script Absence is about the missing and murdered Indigenous women's issue, then I knew that I needed to direct it, because that's been sort of my focus with On Native Ground. And so so the Absence is actually my 6th production that deals with the missing and murdered Indigenous women's crisis.
I see.
And it's important to me because there's 2 of my relatives that are missing up on my reservation. And there's so many of my tribal members that are affected by this. And then across the nation, there's so many native, people affected by this issue. So it's sort of been something I've really been focused on.
Wow, that must be hard to have your own family members taken. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. But her script deals with a similar situation where a young woman gets basically stalked by a man. And at the end, I can't give away the ending, but
no.
but there's a confrontation at the end, and it doesn't always go the way that the play has written. I mean, it often goes bad for the women of what happens to them, especially if the person who's committing the crime, has no real morals or no remorse. So, but it's very typical in these situations, especially on reservations where there's a lot of poverty and there's not a lot of jobs for people out there.
Yeah.
I mean, up on my reservation, there's a lot of poverty, and people live below the poverty line. And the problem is there's no work up there. There's no businesses on the reservation. And a lot of it has to do with, when they first created the reservation systems, they put reservations way away from the rest of the other cities in California, on places where people didn't want to live.
Yeah.
And so that's why there's, no jobs, no work. We have to subsist on a lot of times government housing, government subsistence, food.
Yeah. 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 Is Neva's play based on a true story, or is it just
Talking to her, it's based on some true incidents that have happened.
oh, okay.
And in fact, when I first read the script, I asked her to change a few things just because it was too exact of certain things that have happened. We tried to make it just a little more generic because, it is based on true incidents, and I didn't want family members of some of these women to be upset, using some of these stories, but it often, a lot of the stories are very similar. That happens all the times. These women are abducted and there's no closure for the families.
Yeah.
And which is sad,
It is. Yeah. Well, that's good that you are involved. When Neva first started this, a couple of people and myself told her you need to get some Native people involved in this because there's a lot of nuance we don't know about. So it's great that you're directing this for her.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
great if it becomes an actual full production.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. I directed one of her plays as a full production. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, great.
A couple years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. This would be a great fully produced theater piece.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's nothing like directing a theater piece. It's a lot of fun, It's always different and every day is different. You don't know what's going to happen. And then when the actors get up there, man, it's out of your hands. Just
Yeah.
It's not like a movie where you're sitting there with the editor making sure he gets it right, Yeah, so I don't know. It looks like Neva's not going to. I don't know what happened. Must be having a computer problem. But we're at 12:42, and she still hasn't been able to get on. I can try to message her. Are you going to text her?
I'll text her.
Okay. Are you in Sacramento, Jack, or?
I live up in Auburn, California.
Oh, Auburn. Okay, that's beautiful up there. I love it up there.
Yeah, we love it up here. Well, so basically, I can just reiterate the time and date. So it's So Gift of Fear is screening at the Raven Theater on this coming Sunday at 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm. And that's September, in Healdsburg, California. Yeah,
Healdsburg, California,
which is what, like about an hour north of Sacramento. Is that right?
No. Healdsburg is north of San Francisco.
I meant San Francisco, like about an hour and a half north of San Francisco.
It's about an hour and a half north of San Francisco.
Okay.
And then the following night on September 11th at 7 p.m., we're going to do the staged reading Absence that Neva wrote.
Yeah. And this is a sort of a festival they're having at Raven Theater of Native American pieces.
Yes. And there'll be some artwork up in the lobby, Native art.
Yeah.
And it's all basically, revolving around the missing and murdered Indigenous women's crisis.
Yeah. Well, it's an important topic. I'm really glad that you're creating all this great art around it, and hopefully more people get to see it. Thanks for spending some time, Jack. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So just to reiterate, we have this weekend at the 10th and 11th. That's September 10th and 11th. We have your film at 7:00 on the 10th at the Raven Theater in Healdsburg. And then the play is on Tuesday, the next day at 7 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if anyone needs more information, you can go to onnativeground.org.
Onnativeground.org. Okay. Well, thanks so much.
Great. Hey, thanks a lot.
You bet.
All right.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay, you too.